Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel, and this is the Championship review show for game week 7, with the Championship being what it is, and the fact that we're actually in a 5-game fortnight, and the fact that my missus is going away for a couple of days tomorrow. We're getting all the work out of the way and having a bash at this on a Sunday morning. We'll put some clips out from it later if you can't watch along now, but do give me your feedback. We won't always be able to do this on a Sunday morning because, of course, we often get a 2 p.m. game on a Sunday, but because the schedule is so crazy at the moment, they've got everybody's games done by Saturday, so we can go ahead and do this. Please, as ever, let me know if you are in the chat. Let me know which team you are representing, or even if you might be a neutral. And let me know that you can see me and hear me nice and loudly and clearly and brightly and whatever words you want to use. We are, as ever, going to go through all 12 Championship games. We'll go one by one. We'll go from the top of the table downwards. If you can help me out in the comments, someone will inevitably arrive after about 25 minutes and say, has Ben spoken about so-and-so? Just tell them where we are if we do. Obviously, I want to get as many of your comments read out in the show as possible. So the best thing to do is comment on the game I'm talking about. And if we've got some time at the end, we will do some Q&A. Before we just go and see who's in the chat and who we are talking with today, we need to say a big thank you to our fan sponsor for all of these Championship review shows this year is Russ Peak, a fan and now friend, despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams. We thank Russ Big Style for sponsoring these shows. And you will see up in the top corner there, we are partnered for this 5-game fortnight with www.fanfirst.co.uk, a user-generated ratings website. Really good fun over there at fanfirst.co.uk. I'm going to tell you more about it in the middle of the show, but well worth going over and registering there and getting involved with all the ratings stuff. Okay, let's just see who's in the chat and we'll say hello. Nathan is here representing Norwich. David, Langley likes my shirt. Excellent. Alistair says we're top of the league. Bremner's Ghost says party at Ben's house. Nice. Morning to Kate, Alistair, George, and Mr. E is here as well. Brilliant stuff. Thank you all. Get your comments in as we go. As ever, we'll give Dylan a quick shout as well because he's just piped up in the chat. First things first, everybody drink. It's too early to drink. I'm going to the split screen. We won't worry too much about the table just yet. We'll just bang through the results and then we are going to go game by game. So it was Forest 1, Derby 1 on Friday. Watford 1, Bournemouth 1 in the early Sky Sports game. And then everything else was at 3 p.m. yesterday. It was Millwall 1, Barnsley 1, QPR 0, Birmingham 0, Norwich 2, Wycombe 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Luton 1, Stoke 3, Brentford 2, Reading 3, Rotherham 0, Huddersfield 1, Preston 2, Coventry 0, Blackburn 4, Cardiff 1, Borough 1, and Bristol City 1, Swansea 1. Let's get involved in this now. We are going to the top of the league. We're going to work from the top downwards, as we always do. And for weeks now, it seems, that means Reading have gone 5 points clear at the top of the table. The brilliant start continues for them. They beat Rotherham 3-0. So we'll talk a bit about Reading's viability now, but with every week that passes, we get a little bit more evidence, don't we, that Reading could have a really, really good season. Let's have a look at the two teams there. So Reading starting Estevez, the highly rated right back. Paunovic has eased him in gently, hasn't he, and given him a couple of weeks before his first start. But in he goes to that established back five. Laurent and Rinomota, they're the protection. They're not changing. Lucas João on the bench. Michael Elise on the bench. So a bit of rotation resulting in a 3-0 win always works well, doesn't it? So Maite off the right, Puskas up top, Ejaria and Semedo. I'm still hanging out for Ejaria to come into the 10 and Zhao to start down the left. And that looks a really powerful front four, doesn't it? For Rotherham, Blackman in goal, Hardinger, Heckwer, Wood and Mattock is quite staid now. Angus MacDonald will come in again after a suspension, one would assume. McDonald, Barlaser, Lindsay, Joseph Soon and Wiles wide with Smith starting up top. In this one, let's have a look at the goals. The opener here, I've taken the freeze frame just to show you that if this was the Premier League, and I haven't had an angle from the side, it looks very, very tight. Maybe, is that Ihekwa sort of crouched the third Rotherham shirt over? I don't know unless I see the VAR angle. This would go to VAR in the Premier League, and we would find out whether Maite is a millimetre onside or a millimetre offside. But this is the Championship. So we have a human. Obviously, then everyone steps up. Maite looks way offside, but he might not be. I haven't seen a conclusive or inconclusive angle. And Maite sticks it through Blackman's legs to give Reading the opener. So some doubt there. If someone can show me the side view and disprove that he's either on or offside, then that would be great. I haven't seen it yet. What we do know is the second goal by Maite is absolutely brilliant. And he's got this. He's a very sort of powerful player, but he can score a worldie, Maite. We've seen him score a few. I remember being at a game against Fulham last year, and they've been absolutely hammered, Reading, and then he just smashed one in from way, way out. So could be a breakout season maybe for Maite. But look at that. Chests it up in the air, and it's a flying left foot overhead volley. And look where he puts it, for goodness sake, right into the top corner there. So if there was any doubt about the first goal, we'll give him huge props for the second goal, which was brilliant, wasn't it? Penalty for the third. Blackman goes the right way. Lucas Zhao sticks it into the corner. And Reading win again. Let's have a look at the numbers. And the numbers say, look at that. Rotherham, 64% possession. How many times are Rotherham going to have 64% possession this year? They're normally the ones with 36 themselves. But 10 shots to 7 for Rotherham. But then look at it, the flip side. 6 on target versus 2. 4 corners to 5. 2 big chances to 0. So it looks like Reading are in that lovely position of being solid, not having much of the ball. But when they do have it, having enough quality to score 3 goals and concede none, which is a lovely way to play, isn't it? Get in front, sit back, say you're not going to score, and then pick off the third goal with a penalty on the break. That sounds pretty decent to me. Rotherham, I think this must be their heaviest defeat. They've been very competitive in all their games, Rotherham, and gone under to a lot of late goals. But when we're looking at Reading's viability, and Reading fans get very prickly about this, but it's not an unreasonable question to ask when Reading have been nowhere near this good in the past couple of seasons. What we're looking for is evidence that this is going to continue. Now, obviously, every week they continue essentially winning, basically. They've only drawn 1 game, haven't they? It becomes more and more viable. The numbers do stack up. The numbers say they're very good defensively. They're very stable at the back, only really Estevez. But that entire keeper, 4, and then the double pivot in front doesn't really change. And then it says that between Puskas, Zhao, Maite, Elise, Ejaria, remember Swift is injured as well. They have enough quality to go and get goals. That's what we're seeing at the moment. So if they're the real deal, this will continue. If they are winning tight games and things are going for them, there'll be a slight regression. Or if this is a complete fluke, they will tumble down the table. I don't know where we are, but 7 games in, 6 wins and a draw. It doesn't look like much of a fluke to me. Now, it looks great. And what a start by Paunovic. That would be my assessment of it. Let's look at what you guys are saying over in the comments. Langley says, Maite is the most confusing footballer I've ever watched. You hear me say it loads of times. There's a player in there, isn't there? But yeah, Pauno has acknowledged Reading aren't the finished article. He's an impressive Manager, looks like it to me, doesn't it? Estevez nearly scored a worldie off the bat. You can't argue with us defensively. 6 clean sheets out of 7. That's a very good point. So, and there looks viability both ends. The clean sheets are coming, and the goals are there, but they're really being massively efficient, aren't they, at the moment? Captain Potato says Reading are performing way above their XG. Their 10th defensively are doing there. There will be a drop off. I mean, I think Captain Potato makes a good point there, talking about the XG. Where I would go against, he said there will be a drop off. I would correct and say there may be a drop off. Remember, one of two things happens when someone's massively outperforming their XG. Either there is the drop off and the regression to the mean, or it rights itself and they start to perform the XG. So there may be a drop off, but to say there will would be guessing. And then Captain Potato says, but XG is stupid. There you go. XG isn't stupid. It's just another nuance we can look at to try and predict the future, basically. Maybe predicting the future is stupid, but there you go. What we will say is well done, Reading, on an absolute... That's one thing we can say absolutely definitively. Reading's start has been brilliant and well done. Whether it will continue or not, we will figure it out. But yeah, big thumbs up for Reading so far, who are 5 points clear. So there we go. Ashley says, I think it's new manager effect here. Alistair says, you don't need many shots when you take them. Yeah, and I would agree with two things there, or I'd make 2 points rather. Yes, you don't need many shots when you take them if your finishing is good. And also, you don't need many chances if they're big chances, is what I will say. In this game, Maite's first one is a big chance, and Zhao's penalty is obviously a huge chance. Look, there's a worldie in the middle, and that is an example of not having many shots and finishing clinically. But that is the way it works. Langley says, if we start to beat Blackburn, I'll start to believe. I think when it starts to get up to 10, 12 games and you're way ahead of 2 points per game, you start to actually get to a point where nerds like me start to do calculations and say, look, for them to now finish in the playoffs, if we extrapolate the remaining 35, 36 games or whatever, you start to say they only need to play reasonably well now for 35 games and they will make the playoffs when you actually do the points calculation. So there you go. Colin, morning, Ben. Thank you. £5 super chat. I'll drink to that. Rarely manages to catch me live, but loves the channel. Thank you, Colin. And as an Ipswich fan, Colin Stockwell. Mickey Stockwell was an amazing player for Ipswich. Oh, God, for at least one Mickey Stockwell now in the Ipswich squad. But thank you, Colin. Right, we are done with Reading, and we are going to move over to Bristol City and Swansea, which was a 1-1 draw. Excuse me while I faff about on the split screen. And there it is with goals from Lowe and Wells. Let's have a little look here. Move across. And there it is. Bristol City 1, Swansea 1. I'm just going to scroll up a bit so you can see the subs as well. So Bristol City, standard 3 at the back there. Couple of players possibly, well, no, they are rested because look on the bench. So we've been used to Bakinson in there. We've been used to Wells. So Holden, like most managers, having a little rotate now in this crazy 5-game fortnight. Viner, Moore and Callas, they just can't get Mawson and Callas out at the same time, can they? Ships that passed in the night, those two players. Brunt in over Bakinson. That sounds like a really good scenario to me. If you're developing Bakinson and he needs a rest, Chris Brunt's played about 1 million games, hasn't he? And a very good mentor as well, you would think. So nice there. Sessegnon and De Silva at fullbacks. We've seen Hunt and, God, someone will help me, down the left-hand side. I can't remember the player, to be honest. Patterson and Vyman, who've been excellent. And Semenyo partners, Martin. Wells on the bench. So looking at there's Rowe's been the wing-back, hasn't he? Excuse me. You don't have to correct me. Wells... Bakinson definitely been first teamers, so have Hunt and Rowe. So definite idea that Holden is trying to rotate. For Swansea, the now Roddenless Swansea, we now see Bennett, Cabango and Guay at the back, Robertson, Bidwell standard, Fulton, Smith, Grimes, Lowe and Ayew. So no Gyökeres up top there. No Gibbs White at the moment. And obviously they cannot play Casey Palmer in a game against Bristol City. But look, on the bench there is Ryan Manning as well. This is an interesting one because Jake Bidwell's doing so well for them at the moment. Let's have a look at the goal situations here. If I can find the right pictures. It gets harder and harder as we go through the show, believe you me. I wanted to freeze that one there because I think it's a really great little reverse pass by Connor Roberts there. He's going to slip that right through the gap to Jamal Lowe, who is from a pretty tight angle with pressure on the shooter. So probably not going down as a big chance there, despite how close it is to goal. He's going to lash that one in for 1-0. Here's the equaliser, a penalty there by Naki Wells. Sticks it down the middle, gets a nice bit of height on it, comes off the bench to score. Again, he must have a few already, Wells, if anyone can tell me in the chat how many he's got this season. If we look at the split screen, we can have a look at the numbers on this one. 57-43 for the possession in Bristol City's favour. 10 shots in Swansea's favour, but 4-2 on target in Bristol City's favour. There only the one big chance in the game which went to Bristol City, which was the penalty. So a lot of these metrics are telling me this was a very even looking game between two sides higher up in the table. You would think maybe, given that they are in similar positions in the table, that they might both be happy to come out without losing, providing, and this was something that Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank was saying on Sky yesterday, sometimes you don't know whether a point is a good point until the game after, and context is king. So, looking decent. Bristol City are trying to not fall off a cliff edge of form in respects of win, and then a gentle little fall off. So they need a win to keep up momentum. Swansea are now trying to right Joe Rodden not being there, but they're both up there in the table, and to come away without losing, I think, is a good thing. Let's get some comments here. Ashley says, I think Bristol City will drop off. George says, was a much better performance for City yesterday. It was a good point. Semenyo, man of the match. Oh, nice. Okay. Vyman and Sessignon got injured. Yeah, they're having trouble with injuries here, aren't they, Bristol City? And George adds, Wells has 3 goals. So if you look at it, 7 games, 3 goals. Any of your strikers, if they're playing regularly and they're a goal every second game, well, go figure. If they can play 40 games, they're going to get 20 goals. So a nice number to be hitting already. Reading fan would say favourable in terms of teams who've been low scoring. Now going from 2 promoted teams at home to top scoring Blackburn away. Yeah, so we learn more every week, don't we? Lewis is here. We will come to Derby in the end, Lewis, but as you can imagine, they're quite low in the running order given their position in the table. Sloth is here, who I know supports Stoke, and we haven't got to them yet. So that is Bristol City and Swansea done. We move on to Watford and Bournemouth, 2 big hitters, 2 parachute teams there who played out their game not only on Sky Sports but on the Benjamin Bloom Saturday watch along yesterday. Thank you for those people who joined me there. Far more enjoyable than last time we saw Watford on the watch along, in respects of that Bournemouth actually attacked and we got a more ding dong game than when Derby sat back, and it all went a little bit dull, didn't it? 1-1 in this one. There are your teams there. So Watford doing a nice job with Ivic. So they've got 4 good centre halves there in Cathcart, Ekong and Kabasele, with Wilmot stepping out this time. I think he might, do a bit of rotation right the way through the season there. I can't see an actual drop off between any one of those players. So I think they're all gonna hit 30 games if he keeps rotating. He might settle on 1 when the games thin out in the new year. But wing backs there, Semerin and Gakia. I think Ngakia had a rest. Cleverly, Chalobah and Garner is the midfield 3, with Paritza and the brilliant Ismaila Sarr up top. And again, look at the bench. Yao Pedro, Kina, Kapue, Wilmot. All played first team this season, all good players as well. For Bristol City, the big name up top there is Josh King, who makes his first appearance there. Begovic, Mepham-Cook, Kelly, Lewis Cook, so Steve Cook in the defence, Lewis Cook in front. Lerma and Billing comes in for this one. Stacey and Rico are the fullbacks, so not Smith, who we had seen a few times. I think the Bournemouth fans were telling me maybe Kelly and Rico might be the first choice there down the left. We'll find out through the season. Danjuma and King up top. Let's have a little look at the goal states in this one. Where are we going? The first thing we look at is a not very good tackle by Lloyd Kelly, which was a yellow card. So it was deemed enough for a yellow, but not the serious foul play criteria of excessive force, reckless endangering opponent. So look, you can debate that until the cows come home. It's either a yellow or a red. It's definitely a foul. So you're entitled to your view. Just quote the laws when justifying it. And this, I love this goal. There is Ismail Assar, and just have a look at that. What he's got to aim at, and the covering defenders 6 and 3 there, Mepham and Cook, who are both going to slide. Sorry, I've got that wrong. 5 and 3. I can't read the numbers. Kelly and Cook, and he's also got to factor in Paritsa's run and whether the keeper. Begovic can come and get it. He nails it. Look where he lands that ball. Brilliant. Paritsa slides it in also from Sar's point of view. Look at that first touch. So that's been a cross-field pass from Cathcart, and he's running and he's going to cushion the ball first time into his own path and then cross the ball. It's just a moment of real quality. We've talked about Sar, Buendia, King, these players at the relegated teams, Deeney, Gray to come back, Hughes, Cantwell maybe, Danjuma, so, reel them off, that are going to just have moments like this in the Championship. So brilliant from Sar for the opening goal there. Here's the equaliser in the 95th minute. There was a quick caveat to that before we talk about Lloyd Kelly getting the assist for this, where there's another moment there where he tugs on, I can't remember whose shirt it was. Was it Keena or Kapue going through? Someone will correct me in the chat probably. Definitely could have got a second yellow for that. And if the ref deems it a foul, which he obviously didn't, then it would have been a straight red for an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, you would think. So Lloyd Kelly still on the pitch. The corner goes in. I want to highlight another bit of quality there. Look right over underneath the Fan First sponsor there, www.fanfirst.co.uk. We'll give him a shout there. That's Rodrigo Riquelme. And watch that one back. That is a brilliant cross as well. The ball's been headed clear back out to him. And it's a half-volleyed cross. And he nails it. He curves it and he gets the technique perfect. In it goes. That gets cleared. Good technique there from Lloyd Kelly. Maybe better technique on the volley than a couple of his tackles in this game, let's just say. And speaking of good technique, look at this from Chris Mepham. How good is that? Look at the balance with the arms. He's going to cushion that in with his right foot, with two players back on the goal line for a 95th minute equaliser. Now, most of us who watch this game will know the game state, and far be it for me to call Watford a overly defensive side. They're not really. They're just very good defensive side who have a really good team shape and are really happy to defend and not have the ball. It was a good battle, actually, between two teams, slightly different systems. Bournemouth a bit more active. Maybe it's unfair for me to call Watford passive because Bournemouth are a good team on the ball. But put it this way, Watford are going to be a nightmare for teams to beat this season. If you don't have quality, and okay, it's a 95th minute equaliser, but there is a bit of quality. First, actually it's three, isn't there? First from Riquelme to recycle the set play. Then Kelly does well with the shot, doesn't he? And Mepham puts it in. And look, chaos, 95th minute, everybody forward. It can happen, can't it? But look at the numbers there. 62. Wow, that's high. 38 for the possession. But that's not to say that Bournemouth are dominated. It annoys me when people say someone's dominated just because of possession. That's not the case. You can dominate possession without dominating the game. There's plenty of times where we've seen a team, maybe that Reading-Rotherham game is is a good example where we see the team with very high possession. It doesn't mean they dominated the game. They just dominated the possession. 14 shots to 9, 5 each on target, 10 corners there. But then look at the bottom, 2 big chances to 1. So for all the possession and all the shots, look at the big chances, which is a good way of distilling who created what and who missed what. 2 big chances to 1 in Watford's favour. So I think a fairly even game. Obviously, any game that ends with a 95th minute equaliser, if you're the team that concedes that equaliser, you say, oh, look, we lost one here. But we don't review games in unnuanced terms like that on this channel. We look at all of the factors. So I'm calling it a reasonable one. And again, if both teams go ahead and get draws get wins in their next game. Sorry, my phone is interfering with my mouse as it does. If they go and get wins in their next game, then this looks like a good draw. Let's have a look at your comments in this one. Where are we looking? Ashley said if they had VAR, that's a red, I think. I agree with Ashley. I think sometimes when you referee as a human being looking at something once, it's very different than when you look at 5 different angles. And look, we can show anything in slow motion. God, there's a famous YouTube channel that just did stuff in slow motion, like smashing an orange or something. It just looks spectacular in slow motion. So, yeah, Sloth says tackle looks like a red for me. Kieran is here. Hope all is well. Luton Town FC fan. I thought it said ITFC there. Come to Luton in just a minute. So that is my take on... actually, Kieran makes a good point. I will put that up. If it was a red in the Luton game, I think it's a red. This is hard, and this is the impossible standard we judge referees by, is that we then... And I'm not saying it's an unfair comment by Kieran, but we then say, oh, if this ref in this different game gave this decision, this ref should give this decision. That's so hard for them, isn't it? So hard. Nathan says, not sure if you give championship refs VAR, things get better. Just look at refs in the Prem messing it up. And from I'm not saying VAR would make it better. No, I agree with you, Nathan. But I also agree with Ashley that if there was VAR, that it probably would have ended up a red. So that's not to say that it would make better. I think it might have altered the decision very, very slightly. Look, guys, I think we have to be patient with VAR. It's not perfect, far from it. I think it will improve as we go. And we all have to do our bit as fans watching and try and cope with the change a little bit better. I know we have some very studious subscribers, let's just say, because they make lots of very smart points to me and often prove me wrong on a lot of things I say. And I'd like to think that I analyse these things hard. But I think 2 things need to happen. On the one side, the lawgivers need to work their absolute hardest to make it better. As long as they do that, then we need to do our bit of coping with the change and not being outraged every time it's not perfect. Yeah, but it works both ways. And as Rick just says perfectly there, VAR swings and roundabouts. It totally is. And just remember this when you're judging VAR. VAR cannot make a subjective decision black and white. It can't. Period. End of story. It can't. Goal line technology can give us a black and white on a subjective. The offsides, they can give us a black and white, and people don't like it. They don't like it when it's 1 millimetre, do they? But what VAR cannot do is definitively tell us whether that's a red card or not. It can't. It's still subjective. Yeah? Was the force reckless? Did he endanger the opponent? Was the force excessive? Excuse me. Did he endanger the opponent? And was it careless? VAR can't tell us that. It can help us, but don't ever expect VAR to make a subjective decision, black and white. It can't. Sorry, that's my VAR rant there. Dan says, and Dan follows the Dutch league, doesn't he? Works much better. So, look, if they can work towards that, then yes, Benny lad, it seems like the ref gives penalties just to get attention. Keep stopping and starting the game's getting ridiculous. Where's my Leeds jersey? Obviously, the only football jersey I own is an Ipswich jersey, but I come from my dearly departed shows, very neutral, and this division, very neutral as well. Right, speaking of neutral, we are going to look at Norwich, who are rivals of the team I support, and I will deal with them very, very neutral. We will go on and say, where are we? It was Norwich 2, Wycombe 1. Let me go to the split screen. And Norwich, yet again, for the third game running, Norwich play against the championship team who may well finish in the bottom 8. They huff and they puff and win with a pretty late goal, let's just say, in all of those games. So going to be very interesting analysing Norwich over these last 3 games. Not going to tell us as much as the next game, Brentford away, is going to tell us about their viability for a championship challenge. What we do know about Norwich is they're stacked with quality. So Krul, Quintilla, Gibson, Hanley in over Zimmerman. He's injured. Aarons, Rupp and Skip. Cantwell, Pookie, Buendia there with Hugel. So tons and tons of quality in that team. They play League One's 8th place team when the clock stopped last season. No, we're not bitter about the points per game much, are we? Wycombe, there, Grimmer, Knight, Stewart, Jacobson in front of Allsop, Horgan, Thompson, Adenarian on your dimmer, Cashkit and Wheeler. Unlikely that was the team shape Sofa Scores come up with. Normally more a 4-5-1. I didn't see the game, but I would suspect that Wheeler might have been either in the 10 or on the right wing with Horgan in the 10. If anyone saw the game, they can let me know. Let's have a little look at some of this. Now, if I'm a Norwich fan, which I'm not, I want to see this. I want to see Emi Buendia playing brilliant through balls to Timu Pukki, who runs through and cool as ice, goes through and chips it into the goal. Now, I would much rather see that than the ball being crossed into Jordan Hugel. Now, I know you can do both, but if I'm a Norwich fan, look, if I'm a championship fan, I've seen that the evidence of the ball being slipped through to Timu Pukki and him slotting in finishes resulted in Norwich getting promoted in 2019. I've also seen the evidence of the ball being clipped into Jordan Hugel, not get Middlesbrough promoted, not get Preston promoted, and not get QPR promoted. So let me just say, of the evidence I've seen in my lifetime of the two things, if I'm a Norwich fan, I want to see that. I want to see Buendia sliding it through to Pukki and Pukki finishing much more like he was in 2019, because that worked a treat back then, didn't it? Let's just say. Here's some awful defending by Norwich. It's gone in long. 7 is Wheeler, who's headed it on. And Grant Hanley is going to make an absolute mess of this. One thing you know about Wycombe is that whoever's playing up front, Samuel or Cashkit, is going to press the hell out of every ball. So he needs to deal with this, Hanley. Him and Krul, look, we don't know what was said on the pitch, but in my estimation, Hanley sticks that out for a throw-in. But he doesn't. Look where it ends up, in the goal, and look at Grant Hanley with his head in his hands. Again, we don't know whether Krul called, whether Hanley called, but there's a time where, as a defender, you say, I cannot see everything here. The ball's coming back. I get in front of the guy. I don't concede a penalty, for goodness sake, and I deal with this ball. And he didn't, and Wycombe scored. Here are a couple of pretty big chances. Yeah, no pressure on the shooter there. That must be Rupp with a big chance there for Norwich. Doesn't take it. Here is Pukki. Pressure on him there, so maybe not a big chance with the angle there, but look how close he is on goal. Doesn't take it. Here is Cantwell, left-hand side of the box. Okay, that's a more difficult chance. Doesn't take it. So here's the pattern with Norwich over the last 3 games. They play against some teams with respect to Rotherham, Birmingham, and Wycombe today. They play against some teams that are not expected to finish massively high up in the table. They huff and they puff. They go into the late moments having missed some bigger chances. So the evidence says they're not taking the majority of their big chances yet. Good that they're creating them, though. And then we get an absolute moment of quality to win the game. And look, it's a really, really good free kick here. That is Mario Vrancic with his left foot. The wall looks okay. Look at Allsop in the goal. Look at where Vrancic puts it, right up in that top corner. But I just must say one thing here. In 18-19, I was at 2 games where Mario Vrancic scored pretty much exactly the same free kick he scored yesterday. He's a left footer in that position centrally. I'm sorry, and I don't know if Wycombe did their research. It is so blindingly obvious where he's going to put that. I saw him do it against Leeds at Elland Road, and I saw him do it against Sheffield Wednesday in the last minute in exactly the same position. I think Allsop, if he's done his research in the goal, needs to call Vrancic's bluff there and say, look, I think I know where you're going to put this. And yeah, it's in the top corner. But if he starts a couple of feet over and calls his bluff and says, are you good enough to put it this other side? If you are, fine, go ahead and do it. But I think you're going to put it this side. That's all I'm saying with that. It's a really good free kick, isn't it? Right up into the top corner. And Norwich get the win with a brilliant free kick from Vrancic there. Again, a bit of quality very, very late in the game against the team that's lost all their games so far. I'm just making all these points because people always want me to predict the future, right? And we need to try and do this with Norwich going forward. And it's a drop confusing at the moment, even after 3 wins in a row, just because of the way that they've come. Quickly, one here. I don't know what's going on there. That's Joe Jacobson and Adam Eder. Look, only they're going to know. I'm not interested in debating whether Adam Eder intended to bash into Joe Jacobson while he's on the floor. Only Adam Eder knows that. And he's never going to admit it if he did want to. So, look, he was red carded. Whether they appeal or not, whether they get off or not, I don't know. It didn't really affect the game. It was in the 95th minute. Let's have a look at the numbers, which are going to tell us the exact... Wow, look at that possession number. The exact same story, pretty much, of the last... Look, the Rotherham game was a bit different. Rotherham were far more competitive than Birmingham or Wycombe have been, let's just say. But, look, 75% possession, 25 shots, 6 of them on target, 1 big chance. So they haven't classed Rupp. Maybe they're classing Rupps as the big chance, are they? No, I think they're classing Pookies because it doesn't say any big chances missed there. So there is an argument that Norwich took all of their big chances there. But I'm arguing that the chances for Rupp and Campbell as well, maybe if their finishing was really, really on point, they could do more with it. But very, very interesting trying to analyse Norwich at the moment, and very, very tricky because and Norwich fans get irritated with me making this comparison. But look, for God's sake, it's the same manager, the same club, the same division, and a lot of the same players. So I'm going to make a comparison back to all of those factors in 18-19, where the one thing we can say about that is they took a while to get going. So if that happens again, then they'll be absolutely fine this season. But the way Norwich won games in 18-19 with a lot of these players, this manager in this division, was different than their winning games at the moment. They dominated. They created tons of chances. They created 3 and 4 big chances, 5 sometimes, every game. And Timu Pukki put them in. Or the midfield's held. Buendia and Aarons and Pukki killed teams. Absolutely like that. So that would seem to make sense as what Farke would be trying to do still with Norwich right now, wouldn't it? Because it worked before. 94 points? They were brilliant, weren't they? At the moment, that is not happening. They're not creating that many big chances. And look, point to me at the possession all you like. Point to me at some, a few chances being missed. Fine. That is not what was happening in 18-19. And when they won the games late on in 18-19, it wasn't through a bit of quality. Often it was through just, attack. And the other teams just wilted in the end. We saw it over and again. And they just created big chance after big chance after big chance. And in the end, those late wins Norwich got in those divisions, they deserved to win a lot of them over the course of the 90 minutes. It's a little bit different here. And I think we find a lot more out about Norwich on Tuesday night away at Brentford than we will do with a last-minute penalty win against 10 men against Rotherham, a last-minute or 86th-minute win against 10 men against Birmingham, bit of quality from Vrancic in that one, and a last-minute win against Wycombe, stoppage time, with a brilliant free kick, where, frankly, in those games, we have not seen the pattern that we saw in 18-19. Now, again, I will say this, I'll come to your comments in just a sec. two things will happen now. Either Norwich are not quite where they were in 18-19 and they will regress. And when they play better teams with respect than Rotherham, Birmingham and Wycombe, who they've beaten, they will lose. Or they will start to work more towards where they were in 18-19. They will get better as the season goes. They will create more big chances and they will start to be far more like they were. Look, I'm not saying they have to be exactly the same team. They won't be. But you've still got Aarons, Buendia and Pukki, which, frankly, they were the players that were the star players for Norwich in that season, weren't they? So that would be my read on Norwich. One of those two things is going to happen. We don't know yet what's going to happen. And this is the Championship. And remember, this is the season, I think, of the churn. This is the season of Michael O'Neill, Gareth Ainsworth, Gary Rowett, Vladimir Ivic, Veljko Paunovic. We're seeing a lot of teams who are good without the ball. So, look, it might be that this is the solution for Norwich. They're just going to have to grind these teams down and win games. Neil Warnock, by the way, sorry, the master of the grind. But that would be my view. So what I'm saying on Norwich, because people like me to give a concrete view, is yes, well done, 3 wins in a row, but we don't have enough yet clear evidence to see whether which one of the two things is going to happen, as in they're going to regress down a bit and stop winning games, or things are going to start to work in their favour. They're growing into the season, they're going to start winning games. Woo! Should we go to your comments on that one? Scrolling up. Plenty on this one. Russ is here, the sponsor, who's very childishly saying that I'm showing my true colours because I'm wearing a Super Mario t-shirt, and that a computer game that has existed for 35 years now that I like means that I'm wearing this t-shirt in honour of a player who scored for Norwich City yesterday. Obviously, of course, I'm not, but I take the joke. There we go. 9-point week. Not great, though, grinding out the results. Absolutely. Let's have a look here. Cameron makes the same point. Where am I looking here? Right, here we go. James says, the slow start for Norwich reflects their 18-19 season. Not an ideal performance, but happy we managed to grind that out. Well said. Dan says, Norwich started off well. They made a horrible mistake, sucked confidence. Then Wycombe came. That's a good point that Dan makes, isn't it? The confidence for Norwich, by the time Norwich got to those 8 wins on the trot in the springtime, they were super confident, weren't they? They were just turning up and beating everybody. So that is a good point. Anderson says, think you're right, Ben. Brentford away will be the first big challenge. Well, I agree. It'll be the next big challenge. The first big challenge was Bournemouth away and Norwich lost. So the first big challenge since Norwich have been sort of winning. But yeah, good point indeed there. I mean, Russ, what are you talking about, mate? Well, that Sheffield Wednesday was the River end, not the Barclay end. What are you talking about? It's exactly the same free kick, the same player, the same distance, the left foot at a different end of the pitch. Deary me, the standard I'm held to sometimes with this pedantry. Dear me, Russ. Thank you, Russ, for sponsoring the show, though, obviously. Where am I looking here? Vrancic bought the free kick, poor from the ref. Great free kick there. I think we can all admit that. Oh, and Russ does point out, yeah, Bristol City away on Saturday. Yeah. So, look, we're going to learn a lot more in those 2 games, I think, than the next 3. James says they are creating chances, just missing the final ball. That might be confidence, rustiness, and whether you're in the moment as well, mightn't it? Mick says, as a Norwich fan, I think like many others, we are clinging on to this comparison that we can make it to the Premier League again. Clinging on, that's up to you whether you think the Norwich fans are doing that. It's a very reasonable comparison for the rest of us to make, as I say, because it's the same manager, the same club, the same team, a lot of the same players. Where am I looking here? I think we've done a good few Norwich comments there. Convince me the shirt is nothing more than a coincidence. Literally, I have no affiliation to Mario Vrancic, and I've been playing Super Mario probably since, actually might even before you were born, Russ, in fact. So that might convince it. Kyle says, Norwich's centre-backs are dreadful. They are when Zimmerman's not there. Russ, what are you doing, mate? You said exactly the same spot of the pitch. No, wow. So why are you comparing when it's on the same pitch and not comparing Ellen Road, which is 120 miles away? Wouldn't that have made your pedantic point a little bit better, Russ? Come on, you'll never win pedantry against me. I agree it will show towards the end of the season if they don't buy in January. I think Zimmerman and Gibson will be good enough. But there we go. Right. Where are we going next? We are going Millwall versus Barnsley. Sorry. Thank you, everybody, for joining this morning. Great number of people in the chat. Where am I looking? Here we go. Millwall 1, Barnsley 1. Barnsley now naming their new manager, and because I haven't done my research very well, someone give me the name of the new Barnsley manager in the chat. I should have done a video on it. It's been a busy week. First game there, but he's watching from the stand. So should we just say the Barnsley manager? Oh, there it is. Valerian Ismail. There you go. Valerian Steele from Game of Thrones, we said. But I think he was watching from the stands, and Adam Murray was the manager there. So Millwall lining up, interestingly, without Smith, Bradshaw, Bodvarsson or Zahor up top. Going for Mason Bennett there with Mahoney and Wallace flanking him. There also Ryan Woods rested. So maybe a bit of rotation. We've seen it from a fair few teams, though, this weekend where some key players going out. For Barnsley, Britton starts again at wing back. Same normal three centre halves. Matty James with Alex Mowat in the middle there. Simos, Freeser and Chaplin up top. They've got a fair amount of options there now, haven't they? Let's have a look at the goals in this one. Great goal by Mowat. That's headed out. He's chested it. It's bounced. Left foot on the half volley. And also, I've got the freeze frame. Look at where that goes in. Clips the bar and into the top corner over Bart's head there. But do I even need to show you the picture of a Jake Cooper goal? Towering header at the back. Look as well. There's 5 players marking him. Look at it. And they still can't stop Cooper. The doyen of being at the back stick of championship set plays there. Jake Cooper gets the equaliser. If I'd have showed, there's about 3 or 4 good saves by Walton and by Bart in this one as well. So some other chances. Rather than do that, let's have a little look at the numbers. And here they are. So 58-42. Who would have thought? Rowett against, well, essentially Struber's Barnsley, but not with Struber management, doing them on the possession. 12 shots to 6, 3 on target to 2. Big chances are revealing there. 1, 2. Oh, no big chances indeed. Hit woodwork once. Look at that, though. Millwall, 8 shots inside the box. Is there a block shot stats there? I cannot see one. So I didn't watch the game, all 90 minutes of it. We had some people watching it. Looks like Millwall might have edged that one, looking at what I've heard and the numbers. Shall we see your comments there? King of pedanticness. Bless you, sir. Thank you, Russ. Me or you? I think you're winning today, buddy. But as ever, thank you, Russ. Great supporter of the channel. No wonder they didn't win with Mason Bennett up front, says Lewis. Dear oh me. Alex missed the game yesterday. By all accounts, we were poor. Why change a winning lineup and the formation to work well? We know why, Alex. It's because of 5 games in a fortnight. Whether it's a good idea or not is probably more your point. And yes, they didn't win. So David said, game we would have lost last season from that point. A positive. Great strike by Mowat. Bart, no chance, wasn't it? Just good player, Mowat. From a big MLS fan, Struber has 1 win, 3 draws. He's already played 4 games. Wow. There we go. Why would Barnsley not have a man on the post? Because they all ran over to try and stop Jake Cooper, didn't they? And having defended Romeo last week, he was woeful. Inconsistency. There you go. Richard says, no strikers starting yesterday. What's the point of having them? Bit black and white, but I take his point there, Richard. There. Alex says Zahor missed a great chance. I think it was a great chance and a good save at the same time there. I have no idea what route. Yeah, we did kind of question, because it has been sort of either Smith, Bradshaw or Budvarsson with Wallace and Bennett flanking, and Mahoney's played well in the last couple of games. Maybe that's the thing, that he didn't want to drop any of Wallace, Mahoney, because let's be honest with Mahoney as well, it's a rarity that he keeps his form up for any while, doesn't it? But yeah, interesting decision that really in binary terms didn't work yesterday because they didn't win. But there you go. We'll see see over the context of the 5-game fortnight whether it worked or not. Right, where are we going next, guys? We are going to Stoke versus Brentford. God, this is like a Tim Vine gig, isn't it? I'm on game 5 and we've already done 51 minutes. Hope you're enjoying it, and we'll go through in detail and keep moving this way. Just lots to say about particularly Reading and Watford and Norwich as well. Right, I'm going to Stoke versus Brentford. And is Michael O'Neill just Brentford's kryptonite? I think he just might be. Do you remember at the end of last season, although Tony, the Brentford fan in the chat yesterday, was getting cross with me, keep bringing it up, but Stoke came a cropper when they had the chance to get into that top 2 right at the end of the season. They came a cropper Brentford came a cropper at Stoke, and they did again yesterday. It was 3-2 to Stoke City there, and they did manage to get 3-0 up in this game. Interesting. Well, look at Brentford first. They've gone to a 3 at the back, which we are now starting to see from a lot of Championship teams, aren't we? Either a 3-5-2, which is the more defensive outlook, or a 3 with wing backs, 2 holders, and then trying to still get 2 players supporting a single striker. So we know tactics go and shapes go in trends. Let's see if that continues this season. So it was good Pinnock and Sørensen with Dalsgaard and Henry as the wing backs. Janelt continues their Norgard out with De Silva, Kanyos and Gyodos off the on fire, even Ivan Toney. But Brentford have got quite a good backup striker we're finding this season. Davies, Chester Suter, Collins, Smith, McLean, the wing backs. Thompson, John Obi, Fletcher flanked by Brown and Campbell. And as I said to you, if we wanted to predict what a Jake Cooper goal is, we can also say very much the same thing for a Stephen Fletcher goal, because here he is doing what he's always done on the back post. And there you go, boys and girls, dictionary definition of a big chance there. Give it to Stephen Fletcher 1 yard out with no pressure on the shooter. And in it goes for 1-0. This one was a little bit of a jammy goal. McLean forward, I think he's trying to drive it across, and that takes a deflection. That must be Charlie Good. Is it on the near post? Someone will correct. Yeah, isn't it? Correct me. But McLean drives it. It takes a deflection and flies in on the near post there of David Raya. This next one is a great goal, though. I think maybe Good could be a little bit tighter, but Tyrese Campbell has worked him from the left wing across, and you know it's got to be a good finish from there. Curls that one in, right-footed, all the way into the side netting. Good goal by Campbell for 3-0. And then what don't you want to do 3-0 up is let them back into the game. And this bodes well for Brentford fans if they want to play a front 2. Ivan Toney has got the ball there. Look at the through ball he's going to play for Marcus Force there, because he's going to put in right there. What a brilliant pass by Toney. And Force, seasoned Championship striker, just smashes the ball into the net. Great finish by Marcus Force. And he's going to do it again. Horrible back pass by Timmins. I'm sorry, I don't have the actual finish there. And Force, look at him at the top of the picture. He knows what's about to happen. He runs onto it, takes it round the keeper and puts it in. So this could have looked like a really, really comprehensive victory for Stoke at 3-0. But Brentford getting it back to 3-2 in the end. Let's have a look at the numbers and see what they say. And they say 68% possession, which is very high for Brentford. 9 shots to 7, but 4 on target to 3 in Stoke's favour. We see it so often, don't we? And we must say that often reflects, when we see a high possession number and a team losing, that often reflects the winning team sitting back maybe for 15, 20 minutes sometimes at the end of the game, especially at 3-0, and ceding possession. So the devil is in the detail, guys. 2 big chances to 1 for Brentford. So they create the big chances, but in terms of Stoke's goals, quality for Stoke's first goal and Stoke's third goal, and a bit of a deflection for the second one. Quality for both of Brentford's goals. There you go. That sums the game up. Stoke do have quality in terms of individuals. Brentford have quality in terms of the whole team and the pattern of play. So there you go. Michael O'Neill does Brentford again. Let's have a look at some of your comments here. Dema says Stoke were excellent for an hour and then sat off. There you go. This is someone who's watched the game. It exactly says what I say about the possession, that the devil's in the detail. Maybe a figure up to the third goal would be slightly different. No Paolo Klukas in this one. Score 3 against Brentford side is encouraging. Nice. Richo says, first time I've caught you live. You're welcome. Sloth says much the same thing. Look, Stoke bossed it for an hour. McLean and Campbell down the left. That's a good combination, isn't it, there? We let them have the ball and pick them off. Last 30 minutes, squeaky bum time. Yes, and some of the Stoke fans were in the chat yesterday with their bums squeaking. Am I allowed to say that? Ashley says, Force is a great player. I was in the right place at the right time. Brentford were dreadful. Did someone say the team selection wasn't great? Yeah, really interested to see what Brentford do now in terms of Force and Tony, because they've got two strikers, both. Look at their minutes per goal now, both banging in the goals. Looks good. Looks good indeed. Harvey says, great result, pleasantly surprised with our start. Long may this continue. Look, it's going to continue. Stoke, grind. I think we'll look at the table at the end of the show. They've gone win, draw. That'll get you promoted. You know it will. Harry Suter at the back for Stoke, one of the best centre-backs now in the Championship, says Richo. Let's see how he does now. Was he the guy who was on loan to Fleetwood last season? I remember him playing. Absolute skyscraper of a bloke, isn't he? But yeah, let's see now if he can prove himself. My God, we've only got halfway through and we're 57 minutes in. I'm enjoying it. I hope you are. So we're going to continue. But at halfway, we'll always do the plugs. And we will have a thank you again to Russ, who described himself as the king of pedantry, but he's also the king of this show because he's the fan sponsor, Russ, of the Championship Review Show, a fan and now a friend despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams, and attempting to say that my shirt is in some way an endorsement of Mario Vrancic. Disgusting fake news from Russ there in the chat. And a couple of other people said it as well. By the way, if you think Russ and I are going at each other, we're good friends. Don't worry about it. You won't take it personally. And I don't either. Well, a little bit sometimes, a little bit thin-skinned sometimes, aren't I? But I'm working on it. It's hard being a YouTuber and being thin-skinned. Wrong profession, as many people tell me. And let's see if I can do a Harry Potter here. There you go. fanfirst.co.uk is our sponsor here for the next couple of weeks for the 5-game fortnight. www.fanfirst.co.uk. Go and register your team. Go and get rating. If you think someone deserves a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, go give it to them. You can rate the players, the managers, the referees, the VAR, everything, the entertainment. fanfirst.co.uk. Very, very much enjoying being partnered up with those guys. Right, where are we going next? We're going to Sheffield Wednesday, fighting that minus 12 points against Luton, who either win or lose. There's always a team at the start of every season, isn't there, that for about 12 games either wins or loses and doesn't draw. At the moment, that team is Luton. And I always say with that type of form, as long as you're winning more than you're losing, that'll do you, won't it? And Luton are at the moment 4 wins and 3 defeats. And Luton look like they've gone to a 3 at the back as well. Keep your eye on this tactical trend in the Championship now, because Nathan Jones has been solid, so solidly with his, diamond midfielders and high fullbacks, etc. So what I will say, and to get a bit tactically nerdy at the moment, if you look at the most successful teams in football at the moment, the elite teams, what they do in terms of bringing a deep line playmaker back between the centre-backs and bombing the fullbacks forward is essentially the same shape, isn't it? So it's just when they have the ball, they're way more progressive than having essentially 5 defenders on the pitch, and they have very skilled wing-backs and full-backs, which Luton did when they got promoted, didn't they, in terms of James Justin and Jack Stacey, who are now at Bournemouth and Leicester. Anyway, Dewsbury Hall starts, Morel starts as well, so a couple of new signings in. Did Pelly Ruddock really play up front? I wouldn't have thought he did. If there's any Luton fans actually tell me if that team shape is correct, then I would be pleased. I would have thought there'd be more chance of Elliot Lee playing up front with Danny Hilton. There we go. Nice and stable for Gary Monk there, but no Massimo Luongo in the centre of midfield. Otherwise, pretty standard, and Patterson, Kachunga and Marriott will score goals between the three of them, we think, this season. Here is the first minute of the game. I think that might be, is that Aidan Flint on the goal line there? But Hilton, look, could have given them the lead. He smacks the shot towards goal and Flint gets his head behind it and clears it. So it could have been 1-0 Luton very early in this one. Should have been 1-0 Luton. Look at that, Pelly. Goodness me. Clear in behind. No pressure on the shooter. Has to score that one, doesn't he? Sticks it around the post and then pulls his shirt up over his head to say, ground, swallow me up. And ouch. Look at that. Is that Lua? I can't tell you there. Or is that Pelly? It's a bit of a blurry photo there. Someone will tell me who gets absolutely poleaxed by Just van Aken, who gets red carded, and Luton take advantage. And having seen Pelly, Ruddock and Panzu miss a really easy chance, look at this. He's going to chest it down, take on, is that Bannon closing him down, sidestep, move into the box, and then slam home a really good half volley. Proves that he's definitely a central midfielder if he's excelling in that skill set and not running in behind and finishing, excelling in that skill set. But well done, Luton. We'll look at the table in terms of Sheffield Wednesday and what the -12 means. And we've said about Sheffield Wednesday all along, what happens if they lose 2, 3, 4 in a row, 5 without winning or whatever, with that -12. And that delays them getting above 0 a bit longer. That delays them getting out of the relegation zone a bit longer if they are going to do so. So we'll talk about them. But in terms of Luton, nice job by Nathan Jones so far. And they're winning games. And that is absolutely key. I always say, if you're going to lose games regularly, and they've lost 3, win the others, for goodness sake. Get rid of these draws. And they're that type of team, aren't they? They're quite brave, Luton. They gamble in transition. They get men forward. That will leave you open, but that will also get you goals. Let's have a look at the numbers. 52-48 for Wednesday, 14 shots to 7, 3-2 on target, which is always more revealing as games get stretched and teams try more low percentage shots. But look down the bottom there, 2 big chances to 0. That is sustainable. That's a nice win in my book anyway. Not saying as ever that big chances are a silver bullet, but nice job by Luton, and they looked like they were creating the better chances 11 v 11. And then when it went down to 10, probably the most difficult chance of the 3 they took, didn't they? Let's have a look at some of your comments. Kate says, the new signings in midfield make the difference. That would be Dewsbury, Hall and Morel. No more hoofing long balls. Still too many missed chances, though. Hopefully Collins back on Wednesday. And to Kate's point, you would think that adding James Collins into your football team would increase the possibilities of you taking big chances. So, well said. You're just the older brother from another marriage. Love it, Russ. And just in case anyone thinks he's being mean or I'm being mean, honestly, we're both in on the joke. Don't worry. We're okay. Dewsbury, Hall, Lockyer and Morel have made a massive difference. Interesting, Tom, because Lockyer couldn't get ahead of Bradley and Pearson for the first few games, could they? Tom says still have Bree to come back. And obviously Ipswich had Bree on loan from Villa. And I think he's a good player. And he's a young player as well. Jason adds, Norwich 5 points better off. Yeah, Norwich stunk out the first weeks. That's a big difference between them. Anyway, Lee was on the left, says Kieran. Tom says, are you going to be watching Bristol City v Norwich on Sky? If I don't get accreditation for either that game or another game, yes, I will. Look forward to that. That was Pelly. Oh, Kieran. Okay, so Kieran says Pelly played a lot higher up. And Jerry, okay, thank you, guys. That's why we have you in the chat. A lot of people who will have watched this game, obviously, and I get some idiots criticising me for it. I cannot watch 12 championship games for 90 minutes. I'd love to, but it's just not viable at the moment. I just don't think Wednesday have enough to pull away. They may stay up, but they'll be down there all season. Dema makes the key point is And even if Wednesday, look, unless Wednesday pull out 2 points per game over the first 20 games, they're not going to be out of the bottom three after 20 games. If they pull out 1.5, which would see them as a second quartile, higher mid-table team, they're probably still not going to get out of the bottom three until 30 games. If they're a team that's good enough to not be relegated, they might not get out of the bottom three with the minus 12 until maybe 10 games to go. This is my point. Wednesday could play well and still be in that bottom three all season. And believe me, it grinds you down, doesn't it? Grinds you down. With Wickham looking like whipping boys, does that mean a higher points total for survival, making it harder for Wednesday? It depends, Nathan. It's a really good question. It depends on the top of the table, is what I'll say. If Norwich, Bournemouth, Watford, Reading, Bristol City, Swansea are all above 80 points, it'll be a low total. If we get last season, where there's only one good team, Leeds get 93 and everybody else is 15 points behind or 10 points behind or whatever it was, then that will be the case. And it'll be a high tide. And yeah, that will work badly against Sheffield Wednesday. So if you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, you want as many whipping boys as possible, don't you? And you want as many teams up the top of that table. You want that league to stretch out rather than concertina and squeeze up, which is what it did last season, which means someone gets relegated like Charlton did with 49 points, when literally 19 seasons out of 20 you stay up with that number. Pelly played in the 10. Okay. There you go. It's a Mario Balotelli t-shirt. It's not a Mario Vrancic t-shirt. What would Mario's second name be? Bros? Does anyone know what the actual character Super Mario's second name is? There we go. But no, if they're the Super Mario brothers, his name would be Mario, wouldn't they? And the other guy would be Luigi Mario. I think the shopping's just arrived because the dogs are barking. Sorry if you heard that in the background. Right, Blackburn versus Coventry. And I've got to go to the split screen first, haven't I? And what does that say? It tells me that Coventry are sliding down the table, and it tells me that it was Blackburn winning 4-0 at Coventry. And I'm starting to like the look of the Blackburn forward options now. Look, Brereton, Armstrong and Elliott. Elliott's coming on loan. Look on the bench. Gallagher, Dolan as well. There's another one that I'm missing out. I'm pretty sure I think they've got 5 for the 3 positions. And in certain games, those front 3 have destroyed other teams. Here's another one. Look there, Barry Douglas making his debut there, and Tom Tribal. Yeah, Blackburn's team is improving. Coventry standard lineup. We're just waiting for Gustavo Hamer to come into that team after his suspension. Ostergaard has come out of the team, but look, Michael Rose is going to get sent off in this one, so he may well end up back in the team. Let's have a look at the goals. And where is my right picture? It's not that one at all, is it, guys? I can't judge these football stadiums from these little pictures. It's that one. So that is Rose tugging at Brereton or shoving Brereton. Obvious goal scoring opportunity, says the referee. Red card early on in this one. And Armstrong sticks the penalty home. And away you go. A long afternoon then ensues into the second half. And I'm talking about these front 3. They will. And that was Brereton playing Armstrong through. They'll move the ball quickly and they look quite decisive. I like it. Armstrong scores again. And there is Harvey Elliott again. I think is that Brereton on the floor having crossed that. And then off the bench comes Gallagher to get himself a goal. So look at this. I like Blackburn at the moment. I really, really do. We'll look at the numbers. But add in Elliott into the front group, which was already good. Dolan was already doing well in that position. Tribal into central midfield and Douglas in at left back. I say Blackburn are now a level up from they were last season. And remember, Bradley Dack is injured. I don't know how they fit him into this system, but he's essentially their best player. So I like Blackburn. Have a look at them. Have a look at them to chip away at those playoff positions in a best case scenario for them. 33% possession for Coventry. Look, 24 shots for Blackburn, 5 corners, 6 big chances for 1. So look, with the red card, 4-0, absolute hammering. Everything about this says Blackburn hammered Coventry. And a lot of this says, look out for a few games. Look out, Bournemouth, Watford, Norwich. Blackburn will score against you. I like it. I like it a lot. And this could be a chance that Blackburn, might prove a few people wrong. David, thank you very much for a £5 super chat. He says, let's send Ben £1 each. Obviously, you don't have to do that, but thank you very much. Armstrong is class. Thought so for a while. They have a good balance about them. Bads of experience. Keep players fit. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Joseph says, Coventry have a great season in League One. Mark Robbins is a great manager doing well with the budget he's got. Agreed on all of that. Back in the Championship. What do you think? What do I think of your chances? I want to see a few more wins, but from what I've seen of Cov, yeah, they look a well-organised, stable side with a system that should keep them. And remember, and I'm not being mean to these two teams, there's Wycombe and there's Sheffield Wednesday fighting minus 12 points. So the chances of those two teams having really better points totals than Coventry is low. So you think Coventry would be all right, Joseph. And I like what I've seen. Blackburn are doing great. They'll probably be around the playoffs the whole season. Red card made a difference. Agreed on all of that. Russ says no McCallum in the squad. I think he started, didn't he? Russ. Yeah, McCallum started wing back over Darbo. So yeah, Russ is coming from a Norwich point of view there. But yes, getting football there as well. But Darbo is good as well, the other right wing back. Norwich v Brentford prediction. Hey, I'll give you that on tomorrow night. We're doing the predictions. How long has Dak been injured for? Ashley, God, Christmas? Was it Christmas? I think because they were on a good run, Blackburn, weren't they? Actually continued the good run without him. But yeah, nasty injury there. Tom, you legend, a £1 super chat. Thank you, sir. Good. As a Liverpool fan, Blackburn, very good player in Elliott. Yeah, I saw Elliott play for Liverpool against Milton Keynes in the flesh last season. Callum says, as soon as the red card came out, the game was over. I know what you mean. You've got to score the penalty, though. I think it's the combination of the red card and the penalty. That just kills it, doesn't it? What can you do? Our fixtures have been ridiculously tough. And Borough and Reading to come. Ouch. Hamer back for Tuesday and Ostergaard back in. Yeah, good comment, Callum. What can you do? Ride it out and wait for the winnable games to come, because I think there's viability for Coventry to win those games. Don't know if he played well yesterday. Dolan is insane. Yeah, good player. Didn't play, was rested. That's what I'm talking about now. Blackburn v Reading next. So that's going to be a really good one, isn't it? Followed by Swansea Borough. So look, if Blackburn keep Armstrong fit all season, 40 games at least, he'll score 20 goals for sure. He's already well on the way, isn't he? And then you've got Brereton and Gallagher, who are physicality, but seem to be doing the dribbling business, and Dolan and Harvey Elliott. And look at the goals Blackburn are scoring as well. A lot of them are between whoever the front three are. Quick passing, quick transitions, boom, goal. That's what you can do with quality. And you know Mowbray will give you a solid base. So yeah, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing in terms of Blackburn. If I was a Blackburn fan, I'd be optimistic here. Right. Preston versus Huddersfield. Preston getting the win in that one. 2-1 away win for Preston. North End. Trying to think of what their nickname is. Lily Whites, is it? Can't remember. Get your comments in. There are the teams again. Another 3 at the back. Real tactical trend moving here for 3 at the backs. And the key thing, though, if you're a Preston fan, look up top there. Emile Riche. Have they solved their striking issues there? Although Alan Brown is at blooming right wing back and right back again. Oh, dear. Really good number 10 there. mouse battery very low. That is not good news at all. So let me just plug that in real quickly, because that will totally derail this broadcast. So I'm going to have to go in and out with the mouse battery and be a little bit slick with this. This is going to be hard, actually. I'll try and keep it up here. So in terms of your Huddersfield team there, again, they've gone to wingbacks. Toffolo and Pieper moved forward now from fullback there to kind of match up with the system everybody else is playing. Schindler, Saar and Stearman operating as a back three. Right, please bear with me. I'm going to plug the mouse in and out over and again. And sorry if that gets tedious. Yes, I know. It's going to give me the warning every time I unplug it. If it busts, we might have to quit the stream, which would be very sad because it's been going very, very well. But it will teach me to let the charge run down, won't it? We'll see how long we've actually got on it. So where am I looking? There is the opening goal. And that is Fraser Campbell sliding through there and muscling his way in to score the opener. Sorry about this. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare with the mouse now. Next up is a nice goal from Alan Brown there. Works his way in, curls that in with the right foot. And thereafter, immediately, it was a quick turnaround, wasn't it? Third goal there. Brown lobbing it in over the head of the keeper Hamer after a mistake. And Naby Sarr, well, debate it for as long as you like. Red card, obvious goal scoring opportunity is what the referee deemed to be the case. Let's have a look at the numbers again. I'm warning you, my mouse may go at some point on the charge, which would be very annoying. You can see me. I'm going to keep plugging it in and out, and I'll just hold on to it. 54% to 46 to Huddersfield. However, 17 shots that Preston forced. They are intense and decisive in their attacks. 8 corners to 6 implicates some territory. But look, 2 big chances to Huddersfield. There's plenty of signs of sustainability in this Huddersfield team. So we'll see how they go. They've been on a really, really good run. Although it looks like Preston are now moving into some better form. And it looks like Emil Riche is going to be a really handy signing for the Lily-Whites. Let's get a couple of comments up. Sorry about this mouse issue here. Alistair says, Alex Neil quote summarised this game perfectly. 2 teams trading blows, but we still don't have a killer blow. We are excellent, but we need to see games out better. And he adds, Alistair there, we have 10 on the road in 4 games. Very good away from home, Preston, aren't they? We have to kick on and start winning at Deepdale. Currently have 0 goals in 3 at home. Hopefully Riche will bring the consistency. Preston fans very enthusiastic about Emil Riche, and me too. I think looking very, very good. Stephen says, have to say Preston's new signing from Randers in Denmark, Riche, is doing very, very well up front for them. Right. I'm soldiering on here. It's giving me a warning every 2 seconds that the mouse is going to run out of battery. So I'm keeping on. We are going next, and I'm making lots of mistakes now, so I do apologise. To Borough versus Cardiff, the Neil Warnock derby. And it was 1-1 down in Wales. And just guys, please keep an eye on this 3 at the back business, because it really is happening in so many of the games now. So Borough, well, I mean, they've been doing it all season, haven't they? Bettinelli with Jake Steele-Fry, McNair in front of him, still look like at centre-half with Grant Hall injured. Howson, Tavernier and Bowler, the wing-backs, Bowler coming in. Saville and Morsey, the central mid, with Akpom and Johnson. Akpom scored in all his early games. Just a couple of quiet ones for him since. Standard from Neil Harris. The only thing really changing there is Bacuna and Hoylett have come out. And look, we know, given Harry Wilson's calibre, that he's probably now going to start all of these games when he's fit. So he's going to, in theory, be the key player for Cardiff to try and boost them up the table. As you were at the back, Bagan started the last couple of games there at left back. Let's have a look at the screenshots on this one. And as you'd imagine in this game, a couple of set plays deciding things, although not as you would have predicted. George Saville, one of the smaller players, getting in and scoring the header. I think he's scored in consecutive games now. Saville. And there, look at that. Love it. Love it. A Cardiff goal completely bundled in over the line by Sheyi Ojo. Kiefer Moore has just recycled that from the corner. And as I always love to see when I'm watching Cardiff, Sean Morrison absolutely in the thick of it there with whatever is going on. Let's have a look at the numbers. You would imagine high on chances, maybe low on completed passes. Yeah, and that seems to be the case. 58-42 in terms of the possession, but really, we're not going to analyse the possession in a game between Warnock and Harris. We'd be completely missing the point if we did. 17 shots to 10, only 3 on target to 1, though. In terms of big chances, 1-0. So tight, but Warnock couldn't go back to Cardiff and get his away win down there. Let's just quickly have a look at your comments there. Stephen says, for me, I always worry each game when we play 3 at the back. Well, I think you're going to have to continue worrying, Stephen, because it looks like Warnock is just going to keep doing that system. Right, 2 to go. First of all is QPR versus Birmingham. Now, I haven't got any screenshots of this one, but there were a number of decent chances, it has to be said. However, it did end 0-0. So we can go and have a look at the teams and have a look at the numbers. Senny Dieng keeps his place in goal for QPR. That looks settled. I wonder whether he stays in now for the season. Wallace stays in at left back, much to the disdain of some of the QPR fans we have follow the channel. And interesting if it was a 4-1-3-2 there. So look, Adoma, Chair, Samuel, Bon, and Dykes all playing. And they still couldn't get past Karanka's Birmingham, who are very defensive, aren't they? But another clean sheet for Blues there. Lecco, does he start up top with Hogan? It was a 5-4-1 against Norwich. Someone who watched the game could tell us. Although Mikel San Jose playing his first start there. If we have a look at the numbers, 61% possession for QPR, which we would expect. 15-10 on the shots. Big chances, though. Wow. 3-0 for Birmingham. So they will think that given the chances and the quality of the chances, although hit woodwork there for QPR, they would think that they could have gone and won this game given the big chances. So maybe we'll see if Karanka's team can start taking a few of those big chances. Birmingham could go in the Watford category of being hard to play against and taking the chances. Obviously, Watford being an ex-Premier League team, you would think have a lot more in the way of quality there. Birmingham, exactly what I expected with Karanka. Yeah, it's even boring for me. There you go. I think we expected it to be tight, didn't it? Brara had Brown, Roberts, Assombalonga on the bench. Yeah, interesting. QPR playing with a front 5. Well, looks like SofaScore struggled to figure out what the system was, but certainly some attacking options there. And finally, on Friday night, thank you for those sticking with me, was Derby going to Forest. It was Forest 1, Derby 1 in probably the lowest ranking East Midlands derby in ages, because they finished the weekend 19th and 22nd in the table, and it ended 1-1. Not really much help for either team, except for bragging rights and not losing. So Houghton, well, 4-4, F in 2. There you go, old school. Samba, Krissy, Figueiredo, McKenna, Yanu settled. Arter and Yates is the midfield two with Lolly and Amiobi. And we think a front two there of Taylor and Graben. So both of the Forest forwards getting on. Good news for Derby. Really, really good news is, look, Waghorn, Lawrence, Josviak up top. That looks far, far more viable for getting goals in the Championship than Rooney up top on his own that they've had to do in the last couple of games. Buchanan and Byrne, wing-backs with three centre-halves, Wisdom, Davis and Clark. Shinnie and Knight, the midfield double pivot. And Waghorn returning, and Waghorn making quite the impact on this game. We do have stills on this one. So let's have a look. There is the Waghorn free kick. Now, that's a long way out, middle of the goal. You would think he's not favourite. I am a big fan of Martin Waghorn from his one season at Ipswich. And honestly, I know Mick McCarthy gets a lot of credit, but the smartest thing Mick McCarthy did that season was say to the Ipswich team, right, every single set play we get, corner, free kick, Martin Waghorn's going to take. And I think he ended the season with like 12 goals and 16 assists or something ridiculous. He's a really, really good left-footed set play taker. He just happens to be in a squad with Wayne Rooney, so he doesn't get a look in sometimes. And rightly so, Rooney's so good. But look where he puts that free kick. Jesus, what a goal by Waghorn. Brilliant, brilliant. And look away now if you're a Derby fan. They should have won this game. There is Graham Shinnie. You'd want that to be anyone else. Lawrence, Waghorn, Josviak, maybe even one of the wing-backs. You didn't want it to be Graham Shinnie, did you? He does not take that gargantuous, gigantic chance. Forest get the equaliser, forcing a big chance from a corner there. You can imagine Lyle Taylor sweeps that in. However, a goal disallowed at the end of this one. Josviak with the shot there. And look, Waghorn is miles offside. The question, obviously, is he interfering with the play? Is he in the line of sight of Brice Samba? I would have to read up on the laws of this because if you draw a line of where that shot goes and Samba's line of sight, then Waghorn is not in his line of sight. But he's probably about a foot outside of it. Is he affecting the goalkeeper's perception of what's going to happen to the ball? Probably. I would need to bring the wording up off IFAB. I'm not prepared to debate it without reading the wording, I have to say. So, sorry, I'm happy to debate it once I've read the wording. So it's been disallowed for interfering with play. And without the wording, it's hard for me to give a view. But I'm sure a few of you will give a view in the comments on this one. Mick says, keep going, Ben. # true professional. Thank you, sir. Josviak. I'm literally holding the mouse in my hand, sticking it on charge every time. Absolutely fantastic. Pete, 4 men for a goal. Had a goal ruled out for ridiculous decision. He caused Krissy problems all night. Such a direct player. So Lewis is quite high on Josviak there. Air Buchanan. Yeah, he is very good in the air. Josviak and Lawrence playing off the front man will cause teams problem this season. Be a catalyst for this. Yeah, and I agree with you, Lewis. If you're going to judge Koku, give him at least 5 games with Waghorn, Josviak and Lawrence all fit, preferably with Bird and Rooney behind, because it's a bit silly to fire someone and then give them way better players that are literally already at the club. So Animation says, in my opinion, Derby were the better side. That's fine. Martin says he thought he was offside. That's fine. The Forest goal was obscuring the keeper's view just as much as Josviak. Was he offside, though? I wasn't aware that... well, we've got a still of that. I'd need to watch that back. I didn't realise he was in an offside position. If he's not offside, then obscuring doesn't make a difference, does it? Looking forward to Birmingham Cov. Yeah, that'll be fun, won't it? Wasn't a bad game, says Dave. We just edged it, I reckon. Ibe scored the screamer early in the day, and Bielik plays. There you go. So in terms of Derby becoming more viable as we go through the season, you've got Bielik as well, and I maybe to get fit. And Lewis makes that point as well. So in terms of Koku, look, this is what's now coming back. Judging when they're back possibly would be my word to the naysayers. By God, I think we've done it. We do a couple of plugs, then we're going to look at the table, we'll look at the top scorers, and then if there's anyone still watching, team of the week, goal of the week, still to come in this 1 hour, 30-minute broadcast. It's been fun, let's just say. I've enjoyed it, even if it has gone a bit long. So I think the mouse hasn't told me that it's going to collapse and die in the next. So I'm going to actually go back to a sensible position here. And we're going to bring up the table and have a look at that momentarily. There it is. So we'll do our analysis in just a sec. What we do need to do, though, is just a couple of plugs. One more for www.fanfirst.co.uk. They want championship subscribers there. So go over there, fanfirst.co.uk, and get rating. And another thank you to Russ, who is the sponsor of the Championship Review Show. A fan and now a friend, despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams. Let's go and have a look at the table. Reading. Wow. Sorry, I need a quick sip of this. Hang on. Oh, Reading, 5 points clear at the top. Amazing start. Hats off. Bristol City and Watford on 14 are our remaining 2 points per gamers. Normally have more after 7-8 games, don't we? Normally 4 or 5 possibly, but low tide maybe. Bournemouth and Norwich tucked in. The other parachute teams, look, all 3 year 1 parachute teams, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Oh dear, is it going to be one of those years where you're up against it if you don't have the parachute money against that lot? Millwall, Swansea, Stoke, Luton, all on 12, so 2 point gap between 2nd and 9th. On 10 points there from 10th down to 14th. Blackburn, Brentford, Preston, Borough, Huddersfield, Cardiff on 9, QPR and Birmingham on 7, and then we get down into that bottom 7 there with Rotherham, Forest, who look like they're on an upward trend, unbeaten in 3 and 5 points there. Coventry on a downward trend, given they'd started reasonably well. Barnsley, scoring goals but not winning. And then Derby, who, like we've just commented on, now have players to come back, are the remaining team with points. And then there's Wickham on 0 and Wednesday on -4, still 8 points off where they need to be by the final day. Let me just bring up the top scorers. So you can see what's going on there, because Adam Armstrong obviously had a good day yesterday. Tony 7, Armstrong 7. Zhao scored as well. He's tucked behind on 4. Sinclair, Johnson, Wallace. Force got 2. So now Brentford have 2 players in the top 7 scorers there and only 1 central striking position. Ayew, Godden and João Pedro make up your top 10. Right. In terms of our team of the week, we will bring up the game week round. Obviously, the biggest winners were Blackburn. You can see there 4-0, so they would be in with a shout. Reading, they keep doing it. They've got to be in with a shout. Luton going to Sheffield Wednesday and winning. Norwich aren't being team of the week for beating Wickham in the last minute. No way. There are other winners there. And Preston away at Huddersfield. So who am I thinking for team of the week? Well, Blackburn, there was 10 men in that one. Stoke beat Brentford as well, didn't they? Oh, dear. Let's go for Reading. They've won 3-0. They're clear at the top of the league. So let's go for Reading as our team of the week. In terms of our goal of the week, what were the good ones? I loved the Watford goal. Fabulous. Reading and Maite, brilliant goal in that game. Vrancic's free kick for Norwich was brilliant. Mowatt's volley for Barnsley was brilliant. Tyrese Campbell's goal for Stoke was really, really nice. I love Tony to force for the first Brentford goal as well. Pelly Ruddock. We've had some good ones this week as well. Not sure any of the Blackburn goals would maybe get in. Alan Brown's lob was very instinctive. And obviously, Waghorn's free kick. God, pick the bones out of that. Real, I can't pick there. I really can't pick, but you can have a little think about that. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's been fun doing this on a Sunday morning. Very exhausting. Sorry about the mouse. We're 1 hour, 35 minutes in. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll get some clips up from this, and I'll see you tomorrow night for the preview show. We go again as football fans. In fact, that might be during the day. I think we might be on watch-along duty tomorrow night. But, hey, it'll be up at some point. Thank you, everybody there. Thank you, David. I think David super chat as well. Thank you for all the super chats. By the way, look at the bottom there. Can you see it moving? Teespring shop. We have merchandise now as well. So I think you can find that underneath the video if I've set that up correctly. So you can go and buy some Benjamin Bloom merch. If you do, please take a photo of you wearing, using it, etc. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. A very long, exhausting stream. Hopefully not for you, but for me. And I will say over and out.